Hi guys, it's Sarah from Book Nerds and Fangirls, and today I'll be doing the drunk book tag. Except with one little tiny detail. I'm not going to be drinking, I'm going to be drinking my Pepsi today. Because I went out drinking last night, and I don't want to, actually make things worse for myself. Then I have work tonight, so it's a little bit of a hit or miss. No drinking for me, but I still want to do this tag, even though I'm gonna probably be doing a video after this for my Ellen Hawkins book recommendations, because someone asked me to do it, and of course I love Ellen Hawkins, so it's gonna be more of a ranking than my favorites, because Ellen Hawkins is a great writer. She's up there for Shellmade with me, so off to the tag. We'll see that video later. So, number 1, wine coolers. You're 16 and you finally managed to sneak one of your mom's Smirnoff Ices. What is your most guilty pleasure read? I don't know about you guys, but wine coolers are my favorite drink. I don't really tend to drink alcohol that often, but wine coolers are definitely up there with my favorites. And for my guilty pleasure reads, I would go, how surprising, anything by Ellen Hawkins. I think these are guilty pleasure reads because of the time period I read them in. I read Ellen Hawkins books when I was a teenager, and my school had these books banned from the local library. So me and a few other girls would try to fight the system by bringing Ellen Hawkins books into said school, because we think that the reason why they were banned in schools was a load of crap. To be honest. It's because they got banned because they deal with real life subjects like drug addiction and prostitution and other stuff. Like this one right here deals with drug addiction Is that a spider? So like, this one deals with drug addiction. More importantly, this deals with meth addiction, so this one is a very heavy read. Not to mention, this one is actually loosely based on Ellen Hawkins' daughter's real life experience with meth and what she went through as a mother watching her child go through the addiction with meth, so that's gotta be painful to write about. And then the next book I have is Tricks, which deals with prostitution, and I didn't really know a lot about prostitution before reading this. Most importantly, I didn't really know why people go to prostitution, but after reading this, I had a new viewpoint for prostitution. It's naked because I couldn't find the sleeve to it, which really annoys me, because this is probably one of the most gorgeous sleeves I've seen of an Ellen Hawkins book, and I don't have it, so it makes me sad. 2, beer. You made it to college and are hosting your first kegger. Pick your favorite new adult or college-age book. But no, I don't know about you guys, but I really hate beer. Beer is one of those disgusting things that you just really have to have an acquired taste for, and I hate beer. Beer is disgusting to me. It doesn't taste good. It smells gross, it tastes gross. I don't get why people drink it. But for this one, I picked November 9th by Colleen Hoover. I could have picked another book that's on this list, but it worked better with one of the other categories. Not to mention that it's not categorized as a new adult, even though it should be, because the author wanted it to be new adult, but she's a young adult author, so they put it with young adult instead, which, let's face it, that book should have never been in the young adult category. It's more for pandered towards 16 to 20-year-olds, Osler, but it happens. So November 9th is one of my favorite college-age books, and I definitely like this one. Number 3, tequila. You partied too hard last night and drank a little too much. Jose Guavo, I think that is. What's a book you never want to see again, or your least favorite book? I'm not really a huge tequila fan either. I've had tequila maybe once. Hi, Shade. In my life, but for this one, I have 2 options. I have Burned by PC Cast and Christian Cast. The House of Night series for me at first was a fairly good series. I liked it somewhat, but as soon as it hit this book, for me, I totally wanted to give it up. For whatever reason, I made it to almost the last book. I still have yet to read the last book. I don't want to force myself to read the last book, but at the same time I really want to get this series done so I could say that I've read all this series, but at the same time, it's kind of like, shade. Yay. You're about down, Mama's face. But at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, this series really went downhill for me, and this, 12-book series could have been made into a 6-book series, and no one would have been able to tell the difference, honestly. And then the next book I no longer have, because I hated this book so much that I literally unhauled it. I gave it to my local Goodwill, because I was for sure that someone was gonna love this book more than I did, and I was right, because I've been to Goodwill since then, and they don't have it anymore, so to whoever bought my book, you're welcome. But that was The Daughter of Smoke and Bone by, Laini Taylor, there we go, by Laini Taylor. I hated this book. I read it whenever I was first getting back into reading, and I automatically hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated Kaoru and Akiva. Kaoru was an okay main character. She wasn't, the best main character, but at the same time, she wasn't the worst. If anything, I had a lot of hate for her love interest, Akiva, and that's mostly because of how they started off their relationship. I'm all like, really wanted these types of relationships. If you wanna know my thoughts on Daughter of Smoke and Bone, comment down below, let me know, because I tried to make that video for my Facebook, but I can make an actual video about it if you want to know why I hate it so much. Number 4, Beer Pong. What's a book that you read super fast? For this one, I have Blood Promise by Richelle Mead. I read this in a day, mostly because I read Shadowkissed before this, and Shadowkissed is one of my favorite books in the Vampire Academy series. For those of you that didn't see my Richelle Mead recommendation video, but Blood Promise I read in a day because I just had to know. After that cliffhanger in Shadowkissed, I just had to know what this book dealt with, what was gonna happen, and I read this book in a day. I even missed sleep when I had school the next day to read Blood Promise, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it was definitely worth it, because this is definitely one of my favorites in the series. This is a series that just got better. Number 5, Spring Break. You've thrown your inhibitions to the wind and end up having a sexy night you'll never forget. What is your favorite smutty read? Oh, my favorite smutty read is definitely gonna be A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This was the book I was talking about for the whole favorite new adult novel, because Sarah J. Maas wanted to make this new adult, but I guess there was miscommunications with her publishers, and they published it in the young adult category. But if you don't know A Court of Mist and Fury, I think I have kind of 5 to 6 sex scenes in this book alone. And if I wanted to read all about the sex scenes, I would just bookmark all the sex scenes in here and read this, because oh my god, this is one of my favorites from the Court of Thorns and Roses series. A Court of Mist and Fury definitely didn't disappoint, and I loved it so much. So the next book I have is Screwdriver. What's the most twisted book you've ever read? And for this, it's not going to surprise a lot of people, because this is one of my favorite current book series, and that's the Ember and the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. I gotta switch those, I didn't know they were in the wrong side. An Ember and the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. This one is based off ancient Roman times, I believe, and it's a very twisted series, and I just love it so much. It's gearing up to be one of my most favorite books of all time. It's, Vampire Academy is still slightly better than this one, but this series is only 2 books in, and I believe it's gonna be a 4-book series, so I can't wait until the 3rd book comes out whenever Sabaa Tahir decides to publish it, because I did hear a lot of things things that it was gonna be published based off the presidential election, and I hope that's really not true, because I really want another one of these books, and I don't want to wait until for the next 4 to 8 years to read about it. So, Sabata here, if you're watching this, which I doubt you are, please make the third book in this series. I need it. I need it in my hands. These books are excellent. Excellent. So the next book I have here is Long Island Iced Tea, the melting pot of alcoholic beverages. What is your most favorite diverse read? And for this, I have two books, because one is a really hyped book and one's not so hyped. And the first book is, of course, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This is definitely one of my favorites of the year. I'll definitely be making my least favorite to favorite books of 2017 video. Not sure if I'm gonna do my most anticipated reads of 2018 yet, because I haven't really been hyped up for any book lately, which is really sad. But The Hate You Give was a really great one. I would totally recommend it for a diverse read if you're looking for something that deals with hard-button issues in today's society. And then the next one I have here is A Game of Love and Death. This one had a really interesting premise. Not to mention, also has a biracial couple in this, which you don't really see in YA literature anymore. So if you're looking for a book with a biracial couple with a little bit of magical realism to it, The Game of Love and Death is definitely one I would recommend reading. The next one that I have here is Sex on the Beach. A drink that's great in theory, but wasn't exactly all it was cracked out to be. What is a book that just didn't live up to the hype? For me, these two are going to be very controversial books for me. Didn't mean I didn't like them, but at the same time, they didn't live up to the, oh my god, these books are so great hype that I was expecting. And this first one is gonna get me slaughtered right off the bat. Gonna give me like 20,000 dislikes on this video. But that's Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I didn't like Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I don't really know. I love the art on it, because the art in the beginning is a very good book. I like the whole calf in there. This is a very aesthetically pleasing book cover to look at, especially, the pictures in the back. They're awesome. But the story itself, I thought it was just okay. I thought Calf was an okay character. And a girl dealing with anxiety herself, this book didn't really pander to my type of anxiety, so that was another thing that played huge. I don't really have social anxiety. I have anxiety, just not social anxiety. So this book definitely didn't live up to the hype as I thought it was. And this book might get me slaughtered, but also might pander to the same opinions, and that's 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. I actually just recently reread the first chapter of this, because I was doing a fan fiction about this book, and I reread the first chapter to do the first chapter in my book. Well, actually, not my book. It was my fan fiction. There we go. Though, because I had a scene in the first chapter that I was doing, and off the bat, I noticed a lot of grammatical errors in this book. And I don't even know how the fuck this got published, to be honest. Because if you read 50 Shades of Grey, if you actually go back and reread it, knowing all the sex scenes that you know, and all the sexiness and BDSM, because I know a lot of people that are into BDSM, this book does not cover, even a fraction of what BDSM is. It doesn't live up to the hype of BDSM, and a lot of people that are into that hate this book, and I can definitely see why, because they've had really interesting conversations with me about what BDSM really exactly is. This is the light and fluffy side of BDSM, and this is just kinky shit. This isn't BDSM in its core, and it annoys me somewhat. Not to mention, Anastasia Steele is one of the weakest female characters that I've ever met Ermit, how she lets Christian control her is really, really fucking horrible. And not to mention that Christian Grey, if he wasn't a millionaire, would probably be a stalker. Like, there's this great meme out there that if Christian Grey wasn't a millionaire, this would just be another episode of Criminal Minds, and I totally agree with that, honestly, and I love that meme so much, because it definitely describes what I think about these books. And, the movies just aren't that great either. Like, I literally watched 50 Shades Darker on my bachelorette party, and I wasn't impressed. I, like, literally was just over here like, can we watch something else? Luckily for me, I watched Before I Fall after that, and I loved it so much more. But this book definitely, in theory, doesn't live up to the hype that's supposedly getting. There's a lot of better eroticas out there, trust me. Number 9, wine. You've just gone through a rough breakup, so you park yourself in bed and with your favorite bottle of wine, some ice cream, and a bucket of your tears. Name a book that made you cry out all the feels. Do I really have to say why Shadow Kiss is on this list? This ending made me cry like no other. It made me cry. It made me want to throw my book against. Actually, this is actually one of the books that I've literally thrown, which is why I've got a new copy of Shadow Kiss instead of my original one. Sorry, Shadow Kiss. Rip my first volume of Shadow Kiss. Because I threw it a little too hard against the wall. Well, so I got a new copy of Shadow Kiss, and this one's definitely in better condition. But, oh my god, Shadow Kiss. You can tell it's my favorite novel by how many scenes I've marked in this that were my absolute favorites. But oh my god, this book. Oh my god, just makes me cry. It makes me laugh. It was the absolute perfect book. And yeah. Yeah, so last but not least, we have Strip Club, your favorite naked hardback. And for this one, I'm going to go with a little nerdy one, and that's Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And if you pull the sleeve off it, if I could get the sleeve off it, you'll see how it looks like an actual classified file in here. And the highlights, and it's just, this book is so aesthetically pleasing. Even if I didn't really like the story in it so much, I've only been to page 100, so I can't really say too much about this book. This book is very aesthetically pleasing. Like, you got the underneath side, you have the hardcover, and then you have everything that's inside the book, and it's just, like, it's a really aesthetically pleasing book. Not sure if it's a great story yet. I know a lot of people who love it, but at the same time, oh my god, this book. But there you guys have it. That was the Drunk Book Tag. Comment down below and let me know your answers to some of these questions. I'd like to know. And I'll see you guys in maybe a couple minutes of my next book-related video. Bye!